A lot of pain in my neck, of course, and headache. I've been taking some muscle relaxer, and that seems to be helping a little bit now. And I've been in this pain for about 3 weeks now. And I was in water therapy, and I think I got my neck yanked around a little too much. And that's when it all started. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good. So you just had your pain for about 3 weeks or so?
Yes.
Okay. Good. All right. Thanks for sharing that. Let's go over to Terry. Do you mind telling us about yourself a little bit too?
My problem is I have osteoporosis with several spinal fractures, and I've had them for quite some time. So I'm assuming they've probably fused, which is causing me to have the, I call it the turtleneck, but I guess it's the dowager's hump.
Yeah.
And it's causing a lot of, well, I have the upper back pain, but I also, the neck is just really getting, so I need some help, but I don't know really where it's fractures and fusions and all of that, if there's help for me. So
Really
that's
good
what I'm hoping
question.
to do.
Yeah, hoping to learn that today. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so that will come up quite a bit today, Terry, when it comes down to figuring out what's causing the pain. Because for most people, there are things that you can change and there's things you can't change. So, you know, in your situation, we can't change the fact that you have osteoporosis, you have those fractures, but we could change other things, you know, that might be contributing to your pain. So
Okay.
that's great. Thanks for the intro. Next on my screen is Linda. Linda, do you mind giving us a bit about yourself?
Sure. I had spine surgery last June. I was fused L1 to L5. And after that, I had some tension in my shoulder, neck, and I went to physical therapy and they worked on it and it was okay for a while. We went to Arizona for the winter, and I too was doing pool therapy. Well, not pool therapy, but I was using the pool doing exercises. And I think that's where I don't know what I did, but anyway, my shoulder is sore into my neck a little, and I have tingling down my arm. And I've been seeing a chiropractor. I've had 4 visits with him, and it seems to be working. My tingling is much less. However, my shoulder pain has not been, lessened. That's where I'm at.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that, Linda. Now, I did have you on my sheet. I just realized I'd written a bunch of notes about you, so it shoved your name way down to the bottom. So yeah. And then you're just in town for a little while longer, right? And then you're off to somewhere else.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're going to be campground hosting up at Steamboat Rock State Park the 1st of May through the end of June.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, sounds really nice.
Yes, it will be nice.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing your
Nicer
story
if I
there.
felt better, but it'll be nice.
Yeah. And then Lois, do you want to round us out here?
Oh, yeah. Maybe I should try to show myself while I talk. Do you see anything yet? Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. I have to have this up. The light is really bright on my eyes right now.
Oh, yeah.
I've had headaches since I was 8 or 9 years old, and nobody's been able to really resolve that. They've given me medicine until now. I'm getting rebound headaches. And lately I felt it in the back of my head and my shoulders. So it's tension, but the rebound is another issue, which I don't think we can resolve here, but I'd like to do what I can to help get rid of these.
That sounds great. And have you had, Lois, have you had treatment for like the tension in your neck and shoulders before?
No.
Okay. So no. Okay, great. Well, good. I think that's a good introduction. We've got some good ideas and a a lot of different points that we're going to discuss as we go along in terms of, again, finding the root cause of pain and different treatment options and what will work and things like that. So I'm going to kind of jump into my my introduction here, and then we'll just go along. Does everyone have the sheet, by the way?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. So luckily, I've got the one that has answers on it. So I'll share the answers with you guys. So that'll be good. And then
Show
again,
that a second again.
what's that, Carl?
I'm just show it to us again a second so we can catch it.
Yeah, you know, this is funny. So the last workshop I did, which was like 6 or 8 weeks ago, which was on total knees. This is the first time in a workshop that what I did is, if you really don't feel like taking notes, if you want me to, I could send you this later. That just occurred to me. I've been doing workshops for years, and it just occurred to me that if you really don't want to write it down, I can just send it to you. So that is an option.
We have the generic copy right here. So
Yeah, you have the copy without the answers,
yeah,
but
right.
I'd rather have the copy with the answers. I could do that. So keep that in mind. And then Stephanie just joined us. Hi, Stephanie. I can't, you might have your audio off. Can't hear you yet. Can you hear me though? Okay. You can hear me? Okay. I just can't hear you. All right. Well, if you can figure it out, great. And if you can't, you could always type a message into the chat later on if that works easier for you. Sounds good. We just went around the room and kind of introduced ourselves. So we've got a good feel for different types of neck pain and headaches. And we're going to dive into our sheet here. Do you have this as well, Stephanie? Do you have the worksheet already printed out? Don't have it? Okay. I was just saying to everyone else, if you don't have it, I can send you a copy afterwards with all the answers. So don't worry too much about it. So my introduction then. So as I was mentioning, I do quite a few different workshops throughout the year on different topics, you know, things like total knee replacements and back pain and sciatica, knee pain. So there's quite a few topics I cover, and neck pain and headaches is, in my opinion, is kind of an interesting one, because when you compare the average person with neck pain and headaches, what I typically find from the clients that I've worked with, and also my own personal experience, is that compared to some other causes of pain, neck pain and headaches is the one that is really easy to ignore for a long period of time before actually doing something about it. So for example, clients who have like really bad lower back pain and sciatic pain, or a really bad knee, they can't ignore that pain for as long, because that type of pain will limit their mobility. So if you have a really bad knee, you might pay more attention to that and put your neck pain and your headaches on the back burner, because you're just existing all day long with this pain and this tension. And so it's actually super common for people to have neck pain, headaches, tension pain, some shoulder pain, scapular pain, and just deal with it for years on end. So it's kind of a fascinating one from my perspective, just from that, viewpoint, is that the average person has neck pain. It just might not be that bad yet, or it's been like the guy I was talking to earlier today. It's been intermittent, so it's been off and on for years. But now it's getting to the point where it's more constant or more severe, and it's really starting to bother you. So I think it's kind of fascinating from that aspect, because chances are the average person you talk to has some level of neck pain and headaches. And then I think when people really start to come into the clinic for treatment is when it's really bothering them, or it's getting to the point where maybe they're getting worried about even needing surgery or something like that. So that's just kind of my little background introduction to it. Does that sound reasonable to everyone so far? Does it kind of make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
And for those of you, we were talking earlier, for those of you who've had a hip problem or a knee problem or a back problem, to me, our clients tend to prioritize those problems first. So, so chances are, if you're on the call now, it's because it's getting worse, and now it's time to really figure out what to do with it. As we go through the workshop, then we're going to talk a lot about just understanding what causes neck pain and headaches, which is going to include some information on the shoulder as well. So that'll be kind of the first main topic. And then the second main topic is how, once you can kind of understand what's causing it, then how do you pick the best treatment options and what can you expect from there? So those are kind of the two main things that we're going to discuss. And then, as I've been saying, questions and answers along the way. So just shout them out or raise your hand or whatever you feel like. All right, is everyone ready?
Okay.
We'll get into our worksheet. Okay, so number one on the worksheet then is just pain in the neck. Could be coming from any of these structures. So what are the basic structures involved with the anatomy of the neck that could be causing your pain? So the first one that I have on the list there is your cervical discs. So that first blank spot on the worksheet is just the word discs, D-I-S-C-S. And for those of you who are somewhat familiar with the anatomy of the spine, you've got all your vertebrae, which are your backbones. Every single one is separated by a disc. So it's the same in your neck. That word cervical just refers to your neck. So the first 7 vertebrae up here are considered your cervical. The next 12 in the middle of your spine are considered your thoracic. And then most people are probably familiar with those bottom 5 at the very low base of your spine. Those are your lumbar. So
I got that problem too, very
yeah,
much.
most people do. Yeah.
Stenosis.
Yeah. So when you look at discs, you'll see things like on an MRI, you'll see like disc bulges. You might see a herniated disc. It's more common lower down in your spine, but it can happen in the neck as well. And then if you've ever seen any like degenerative changes in your neck, you'll see that more like on an X-ray. So those can involve the discs as well. So that's the first structure that I just want to introduce you to. The second structure is the facet joints. Facet is F-A-C-E-T.
Joints.
So just like how throughout your entire spine, you have a vertebrae, a disc, a vertebrae, a disc, a vertebrae, a disc on the back of your spine, where the 2 vertebrae are actually articulating or they're touching each other, there's joints back there. And that's what allows your neck and your spine to move. So any movement has to occur at a joint for stability. So basically at every single level between, C1 and C2, C2 and C3, C3 and C4, there are little joints along the back of your neck. And as you can imagine, with anytime you have a joint, whether it's these little ones along your spine, or it's your shoulder, or it's your knee or your hip, you can get arthritic changes or degenerative changes there, which we're going to talk about on the next major topic. Hallmark of joint pain is what I've got listed there. When they're inflamed, it's going to cause pain, stiffness, soreness. Usually that's going to be right along the midline of your neck or not too far off to the sides. So those are your joints, and we want to be aware of those if they're a potential cause of pain. The third thing I have on there, which is almost always involved, is your neck and shoulder muscles.
Okay.
So that blank is just the word muscles. And then in that next sentence there, I'll type this one into the chat just for a spelling aid, is this includes your suboccipital muscles.
Ooh.
Suboccipital. So I just typed that into the chat if you need the spelling for that. But muscle pain is very common. You know, the average person with neck pain, they'll mention the tension, right? Got all this tension through my shoulders, through my neck, between my shoulder blades. And this isn't just for older adults, by the way. This is, you know, the average person working in front of a computer or a desk all day. They've got all this muscular tension. Stephanie's stretching it out right now. It feels, yeah, you can feel all those tight muscles. So for almost everyone with neck pain and headaches, there is a muscular component. So these big muscles on top, the muscles along the sides of your neck, those muscles at the very base of your skull, those are your suboccipital muscles. Chances are if you just push on those, you're going to say, wow, that hurts, you know? And if you don't push too hard, it might be a good hurt. Like, oh yeah, like get in there and just work those out. So again, there's a lot of muscular components. When you look at the shoulder region and how it's connected to your neck and your spine, there's a lot of muscles that go from your shoulder blade to your spine. So all of those muscular issues can occur pretty easily. And that's why later on too in the workshop, we're going to talk about the shoulder because they're so interconnected with all those muscles. So when we're looking at what's causing your pain, want to be very well aware of all those muscles and how they interact. And then the last major structure that we want to be aware of is the nerve roots. So that last blank is the word nerve. So if you have a nerve root pain, the nerve root is being pinched or impinged, or there's a bulging disc touching the nerve, typically what you're going to get is radiating pain. So radiating pain out from the neck down into, say, the top of the shoulder, or if it's more severe, it's going to go potentially all the way down your arm.
Ooh,
Go ahead, Linda.
I don't have that.
Oh, okay. You're just saying yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I have, all the way down my arm.
Oh, it's going all the way down. Yeah. Yeah. The radiating nerve pain isn't as common as some of the other types of pain, but yeah, and unfortunately it does happen. The basically like the parallel to that in your lower spine would be like sciatic nerve pain shooting down your leg. In the neck, it's the same exact physiology. It's the same exact mechanism where a disc or some degenerative changes are just pinching off the space for that nerve root to run and exit your spine. And that causes the same nerve root distribution type pain. So not a fun one. Okay, so those are the main structures that are involved. Any questions about those structures before we move on to the next topic?
No.
Pretty good so far? Good. All right. So the next topic, next topic then, now that we understand more about the structures, is kind of the overarching causes of that would cause the structures to be irritated or involved in pain. So we're going to go through the four most common, just overarching causes of neck pain and headaches. The first one, which again, I kind of already alluded to, super common, would be just postural strain. So that bullet or the blank spot on there is the word strain. And again, with postural strain, you're going to get a lot of tension in the neck, shoulders, mid-back. If you look at a lot of people's posture today, they like to be nice and upright and neutral, but a lot of people get into this forward head, rounded posture. You guys ever notice that with people? Like their whole upper back is slouching. Terry, you mentioned earlier, like the dowager's hump, which is a little bit more structural, but for the average person, it's just like everything is just rolling forward. And so you get the head pushed forward, you get the shoulders rolled in. So a lot of postural strain can cause those neck pain and headaches. That'll feed into treatment options, a little bit later in our talk today. But it's super common. Again, a lot of people are just, I think it's more common now than ever because so many folks are on a computer or a phone or a tablet for hours and hours on end. Myself included, I do a lot of my work on the computer these days. So if I'm not careful, my posture will go that way. I'll slouch in my chair and then all of a sudden I'm feeling really stiff all throughout my upper shoulders and neck. So it's a very common cause for shoulder or for neck pain and headaches. The second one that I have on your sheet then is acceleration injuries, otherwise known as whiplash. So whiplash is that next blank spot. And whiplash kind of stands alone because it involves essentially a car accident for most people. You could get whiplash from like a slip and fall if your head, jerks back. But whiplash, when I think of it, is more like an actual injury. So it's not a huge percentage of our clients because most people that are coming in for treatment have just had neck pain for a long time based on the other causes. But it's worth mentioning. The thing with whiplash that you want to be careful with too is if there's any head injury. or inner ear injury. So I've got listed there, it can cause headaches, fatigue, vertigo, issues with noise and light, things like that. Anyone ever had neck pain from a car accident or like a slip and fall here, or are we all lucky enough not to have that? Cool.
You probably have from some of your falls, but
Slip and fall, maybe.
I don't remember it. No.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last one, which again is super common, that blank spot there is the word degenerative. So degenerative changes. I'll type that one in too.
Generative.
Be a spelling test later. Yeah. So degenerative changes, and as I've got kind of listed out there, that's going to include all sorts of descriptive terms like DJD, which is degenerative joint disease, DDD. I think I may have a typo there. Well, no, it says intervertebral discs. DDD would be degenerative disc disease. You get other terms like stenosis. Those will usually, yeah, you get that, Linda? Yeah. Those will usually show up on an X-ray, whereas a bulging disc would show up more clearly on an MRI. But the average person, especially in, a 50+ age bracket is going to have degenerative changes in their neck. It just really comes down to what's the severity of the degenerative changes, and is it the cause of the pain? Because one thing you really don't want to assume with basically any type of pain, but the neck especially, is that you don't want to assume that your imaging findings are absolutely the cause of your pain, or that they're the only cause of your pain. Because again, I might x-ray Linda's neighbor's neck and find out that she has moderate to severe arthritis in her neck, but she has no pain. Like that happens. So, a lot of people, the imaging reports it validates their pain, but it doesn't always mean that that's the cause of the pain. So just keep that in mind. And the other thing, of course, to keep in mind when you're looking at causes of pain is that it would be really nice if it was only just one thing that was causing your pain. But yeah, as Stephanie knows where I'm going, unfortunately, for almost everyone, it's a combination of multiple factors. So that's why you really have to understand everything that's contributing potentially to your pain. Does that concept make sense to people?
Yeah, just to me.
Okay. Okie dokie. Degenerative changes I wrote down there too. That degenerative changes can also lead to nerve pain. So when you look at your little nerve roots, so again, there's a little nerve root coming off of your spinal cord, and again, every segment, C1, C2, C2, C3, there's a little hole on the side of the neck or the mid back or low back where the nerve root can exit. So nerve root exiting every single level on both sides. When you get impingement of a nerve root, the size of the hole that the nerve root exits through is getting smaller. You could imagine, if you can see that, if, let's say you have degenerative discs in your spine and the disc was this big, and the disc, keep in mind, is keeping this bone up here away from that bone down there and creating a certain amount of space for your nerve to travel through. But if your disc has been degenerating and now it's only this big, now the whole entire space has just gotten much smaller.
Yes.
Keep in mind too that degenerative changes like that can lead to nerve pain for some people.
Yeah.
Which, Linda, possibly that's what you've got going on.
Me?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't had my neck x-rayed, so I don't know that's my problem, but that's what I had in my lower back was the stenosis. When I was so bad that I could not stand up straight without pain. So my posture has improved immensely since I've had the surgery.
Yeah. Yeah. And so stenosis, by the way, is just that term for narrowing. Again, you've got a space this big, and now it's only this big. That's stenosis.
okay.
Okay. Any questions on that group of topics before we move on to number 3? Everyone's still awake. That's a good sign.
Did we miss on the underlying blank? What goes in there?
Which bullet point are you on, Linda?
Underlying, after the degenerative changes, then it's got underlying something blank. Did we go over that?
Ooh, I don't see that on my sheet.
In section 2, the last blank in there. What goes in that last blank?
You know, the only blank I had there was degenerative changes. Is that what you're referring to?
You don't have
It's one of
underlying
the-
blank issues such as rotator cuff irritation?
Oh, you know what? Does everyone else have that on their sheet too?
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Oh, shame on me. Because I updated the workshop. Let me pull that up really quick. I updated on yours and not mine. Ah, thank you. Sorry about that. Underlying shoulder issues.
SHOLDER.
Which is our next topic. So that was just kind of my lead in. So underlying shoulder issues. Does anyone on the call, does anyone have like what they would consider a shoulder issue or a rotator cuff issue right now, or have they had it in the past? Okay, so
No.
definitely, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay. This should make sense, hopefully. Because what we see a lot of with our clients is that, well, so shoulder pain in general is probably, it's in the top 2 or 3 things that we treat at the clinic, behind like lower back pain and sciatica, and then probably behind knee pain or balance, something in there. But shoulder pain is super, super common, especially issues with the rotator cuff. And if you start working with a client who has shoulder pain, you can almost assume they have neck pain too. And it may just be neck pain in terms of a muscle shooting up from their shoulder blade up to their neck. So it may not be like severe neck pain or a severe headache, but you can almost assume that they're going to have some type of a neck pain. Because what will happen in the shoulder is I'm getting kind of ahead of myself here, but changes to the shoulder or the way the shoulder moves are directly going to affect your neck because they share so many muscles. So let's go through this topic before I get all out of order. So let's just go through the bullet points then. So shoulder pain often involves the rotator cuff. I put that in quotes because people call the rotator cuff all sorts of things. They call it the rotator cup or the rotary cup, but rotator cuff is the actual term we use in the medical field. And just so you know, the rotator cuff is a group of 4 small muscles. So it's not an actual structure in terms of like a bony structure or a solid structure. It just refers to 4 muscles along your shoulder blade. So they're all kind of coming back from here. They're deep to your big muscles. If you look at someone who has like a big deltoid here, biceps, triceps on the arm, the rotator cuff is deep to any of those big muscles. So you can't really see the muscles. The function of the muscles is to stabilize the shoulder joint. So that blank spot there on the second bullet point is the word stabilize.
Luke, if you have a torn rotator cuff, does that mean your muscle is torn then?
It does.
And can that be repaired without surgery?
Does that still hurt?
It depends on the severity of the tear. If it's a full thickness tear, typically not, although if it's just a partial. So if you imagine the tendon, let's say the tendon on your top rotator cuff muscle is this big. A full thickness tear would mean that it went through the entire tendon, but doesn't necessarily mean it tore all the way across the width of it, if that makes sense. So it depends on how severe the tear is. Typically, if it's a full thickness tear, it's not going to be healed without surgery or put back together. The other thing, of course, with those tears is some people with those tears need surgery. They can't function without that being repaired. And some people don't need surgery. They function just fine with it being torn. So that's part of the decision-making, I think, process for people who have tears, is that typically they'll have you try physical therapy first and see how far it gets you. And if you feel good and you have good functional use of your arm and it doesn't bother you, they might just let you skip surgery or at least give you the option. But if you, there's at the same time, there's clients who can only lift their arm, you know, that high, and they're lifting it with their entire shoulder girdle. You know, it's just like right there. That's typically not going to be fixed without surgery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, good question though, Linda. So if you have a rotator cuff tear, it's a tear in a muscle versus like a labral tear or a meniscus tear, which is that's a tear in like an actual soft tissue, like structure, like just a stable structure, not a muscle. So going back to the function of the rotator cuff muscles, then as you move your arm, which your shoulder moves in all these different directions, it can rotate, it can move up, it can move back, it can move across, side to side. Those muscles are always engaging and they're stabilizing your main shoulder joint, which is a ball and socket joint. So without those muscles, your shoulder joint would be real sloppy. The ball would be kind of clunking around. You get lots of impingement, you get lots of irritation. So that's what they're doing. That third bullet point then is that what we'll see is that issues with shoulder pain often will lead to what we call compensatory movement patterns. So for example, instead of moving my arm nice and smooth now, my shoulder hurts. So now I kind of hike up my shoulder, I might lean a little bit, and I'm doing all of these altered movement patterns. Again, we call them compensatory patterns. You can call them whatever you want. It just looks bad, right? You're like, it doesn't look quite right, and it feels bad. So that often leads to pain, muscle pain. And that blank there is especially with your scapular muscles. So it's going to lead to muscle pain. Type that one in, especially
Scapular,
scapular.
SCAPULAR or ER. Scapular.
Yeah, so scapular, of course, just refers to your shoulder blade. So like I've said a couple of times now, all those muscles, like this one here, you know, your upper traps, got all these, you know, we got rhomboids, we've got levator scapula, all these muscles, when start affecting the way that they move with your shoulder movements, it's going to often cause neck pain and headaches.
Oh, I see what I'm doing.
Good there, Carl?
Oh, yeah. No, I just wondered why you stopped moving for a minute. I think I got my hand in front of my camera.
Oh, gotcha. And that's just the last bullet point then, is kind of what we've been talking about, is that a lot of those muscles do connect from the shoulder blade to the neck.
Yes.
Are there any other questions then on the shoulder pain? I'm happy to talk about how to get rid of shoulder pain if anyone wants me to give you my 2 cents.
You have shoulder pain?
Does it make sense how
No.
these two are so interrelated?
Yeah, but
You did.
yeah.
Any questions then on the shoulders? Go ahead, Linda.
Do you recommend using a Thuricane?
A Theracane? Yeah. I like those. I should have pulled mine out here. So for those of you who don't know, a Theracane is like a big, it looks like a big candy cane. Or the one I have is a little more like a big S. And you don't have one on you, do you, Linda?
I have one, yes.
Do you? Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, when you use it, is it good to move it on the muscle, or is it good to just press on the muscle?
So I like to press. And so let me just explain to everyone what we're talking about, and then I'll kind of explain how to use it. So a Theracane is a self-massage tool. It's a big hard piece of plastic with a knob on the end. And then basically the benefit of it is that whether it's a candy cane shape or it's an S shape, is that you can hold the cane in front of your body, and you can put that knob onto your muscle knot in your shoulder or your back. And so I'll wait for Linda to get back. But so her question is, when you have a massage device like that, should you try to move the knob along, or should you just press and hold? And I'll wait. I think Linda grabbed hers. Oh, good. Yeah. Yep. You've got kind of the original there.
You get back and just massage
Yeah.
For
and
heaven's sakes.
loosen up your muscles.
Yeah, I really like those for those muscle knots. And
Huh?
my preference is to just like find a spot and hold and just kind of push into it, which is more of like a trigger point release type approach. And the reason I like that is because I just find it difficult to move the knob,
Mm-hmm.
massage the muscle. I do have another new toy though, that I like probably even better. Do you guys mind if I just grab it real quick?
Ahead.
It'll take me like 10 seconds, I think. I think I know where it is. Hold on just a minute.
1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10.
I've never seen one of those that she's
I'm in
got.
bad shape, folks. Oh my goodness.
That's quite a toy.
It's really not a toy. It's actually a device.
Okay.
I
Is
know.
everyone still there? My wife put it away.
30.
She's always cleaning up. This is my new toy. Has anyone seen massage guns before?
No?
Oh,
Okay. So this is my massage gun, and they come in all shapes and sizes, but this is the one I really like.
You
And then
probably got one
it comes
upstairs.
with different heads you can put on it. So you put a head on there, and then the motion is kind of like a sawzall. You know how a sawzall just goes like this?
Yes.
Yeah, so you turn this thing on.
Okay.
Ah,
And the one I
yeah.
have has 20 different speeds. So you can see it's like a little jackhammer.
Yeah.
But it works really well for self-massage. Then you can just massage like that. So it's
The other one.
got 6 different attachments on it. Some of them are like harder plastic attachments. The foam ball is pretty nice. It feels pretty good.
Ah,
But
Like
anyhow,
this one too.
oh, look at that. See, Linda's got one too. Yeah. Different types. But yeah, I really like this one. And actually the reason I got it primarily is because my wife has a lot of neck pain and headaches and back pain, and I can work on her at home. Like we have a treatment table at home, but it's just, this is so much easier than using my hands.
yes.
To use my hands in terms of really relieving my stress. But if she just wants to sit in front of me, sit on the floor while I'm sitting on the couch at night, I mean, I can just turn this on and just kind of do laps around her muscles and really dig into these ones up here. So it really is easier for me, and it feels really good. It's different. But then for me too, I get like IT band pain sometimes, or like muscular pain in my legs. And so it's super easy for me just to run this thing up and down my IT band or my thigh or whatever's hurting that day. So good question, Linda. I didn't even think about bringing that up today. So there's your next Christmas present, or I don't know, stimulus check, spending spree, something like that. All righty. Did we have any other questions about the shoulders then?
no.
Okay.
Not your shoulder.
Kind of transition then into second part of this, which is treatment. So biggest mistake people make who are suffering from neck pain and headaches, kind of mentioned this earlier, but like I mentioned, it's really easy to ignore it. So ignoring your pain in general is a mistake. It's an understandable mistake, absolutely. But typically, you guys have been around longer than I have. You know how this works. Typically, the longer you ignore a problem, the worse it becomes when you finally, want to treat it. So try not to make that mistake, or I try to tell people not to make that mistake. One The second one is that people will tend to mask their pain. And that's where I think medications often come in this the second mistake. You say, oh, okay, just take some ibuprofen or some Aleve. Or like a couple people have mentioned today already, my doctor gave me muscle relaxers. Like, okay, well, sometimes a medication might work. I mean, it might work. But if you actually do have something that's causing your pain, especially if it's ongoing, rarely is medication ever going to give you lasting pain relief. It'll just cover up whatever's causing it. So again, I'm not saying all medications are bad, and I'm not saying doctors shouldn't prescribe them. I'm just saying that if there's an ongoing issue, medications probably won't solve your problem. It'll just mask your pain. So what we should do, of course, is we should figure it out and just try to handle it. So those are those 3 bullet points or blanks there. People ignore it. They mask it. What they should do is handle it. Sounds so easy, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
She told my wife that when she gets home today, hun, you know what? I had a revelation today. You should just handle your neck pain. It's a good thing we have a spare room in the house. I want to sleep with the kids.
Yeah.
All right. So now that I've said that, how do we help people handle it? How do we help people get rid of it? And I'm going to oversimplify it first, and then we'll go a little bit into more details. So step 1 is we want to figure out the root cause of the pain. So those blanks on step 1 are root cause. As I mentioned earlier, the root cause could include one thing if you're lucky. Most likely it's going to include 2 or 3 things. So let's figure out what those 2 or 3 things are. Once we do that, in step 2, especially important with neck pain and headaches, we're going to combine hands-on therapy. So those blanks are just hands-on. So we're going to use hands-on therapy with, of course, specific stretches and exercises. We don't want to overlook those, but really, especially when it comes to neck pain and headaches, the best thing a physical therapist could do for you is a hands-on technique. The reason for that being too is that my wife, again, let's just pick on her since we went down that route. She's not in the house right now, so we're okay. She has years of neck pain and headaches, years and years. And so she can do really good with stretching and exercising, maybe doing some strengthening, but that will only get her so far. She can't relieve the years of tension and stress in her muscles, especially, and in her joints. Someone else can do that for her, but she really can't do that on her own. Now, she could do the massage gun, she could do some foam rolling, she could do the Theracane, she can do that kind of stuff, but it will never be as effective as what I can do for her or what the other therapists at the clinic could do for her. So we actually got to that point with my wife where I said, look, I'm tired of treating you at home, and I know that I'm not nearly as effective as the therapist in the clinic would be at treating you, so I just had her go in for therapy at the clinic. One of the better decisions I ever made. So again, that's step 2, hands-on therapy with the corrective stretches and exercises. If there's a shoulder component, rotator cuff strengthening will be an essential component to the stretching and exercising, because that would be an underlying cause. So if we go to the back side of the worksheet, then during step 2, the treatment goals that we're going to use. And I'll talk about like the 3 phases of healing or the 3 phases of recovery. These treatment goals are just going to fall into that framework. So I won't go too deep into the 3 phases, but basically what we want to do for folks with neck pain and headaches is we want to reduce the tension in the muscles. As I mentioned earlier, muscles are almost always involved with neck pain and headaches. It may not be the only thing, but they're almost always a significant factor. So that's one of the treatment goals. The other treatment goal is we want to restore joint mobility and flexibility. So if you have a stiff neck, you have some facet joint arthritis, some degenerative changes, and you know, your neck only turns 30, 40 degrees. We want to loosen that up as much as possible. And then the third main treatment goal is we want to improve your posture.
Mhm.
Almost all of us could use some improvement when it comes to posture, included. I'm standing right now, so I have that advantage. But when I sit, I'm just like anybody else. You know, it can go down. So those are the three main goals. And like I was just mentioning, if you only improved your posture today, would you feel better? Most likely, but you wouldn't feel all the way better. You'd feel probably 10 to 15 to 20% better because you've got all of those joint and muscle issues still. So posture is certainly important, but again, if you go to a PT and all you did was postural exercises for your neck pain, I'd be very surprised if you got the results you were looking for. And for those of you who know me, that's my favorite soapbox to stand up on and rant about is, you know, you went to PT and you didn't really do that well with PT. And then it turns out they never put their hands on you. Now, sometimes you can get away with exercise-based only PT with certain diagnoses, certain types of issues, especially if it's like a core issue, something like that. But with neck pain and headaches, I don't think I've ever seen someone get really better with exercises alone. And that's my personal bias. And I'm happy to admit that. But really, again, people with neck pain and headaches, you need hands-on treatment. And a chiropractor might be very helpful. A massage therapist might be very helpful. But a really good PT who knows how to use their hands is also very helpful. So that's my soapbox. I get real worked up if people have tried PT elsewhere and all they did was some exercise bands and some chin tucks, which essentially I would have given you for free over the phone if you had called me, you know. Anyhow, I like to rant and rave a little bit. So the positive though about that little topic is that it's a good thing for you if you have tried PT and that's what your PT was like and it didn't work because you really didn't try it the way that we do it at the clinic. Tried a version. So that is good news for people too. It's not all doom and gloom. All right, before I wrap up with number 7, questions about treatments. Anything along the lines of treatment or how to pick a good treatment option?
It's a good treatment option.
I don't know.
No.
I guess.
Pretty good. There are a lot of different hands-on techniques, by the way. I should mention that. I'm not super picky when it comes to the technique. I'm more picky just on the fact that something hands-on is done. So if you go to our clinic, we have 7 therapists at the clinic, and they typically work in teams of 2. And all 7 of them have slightly different skills when it comes to how they use their hands. But as long as they're using their hands, it tends to work. So Lois has worked with Jamie. Jamie does this technique called strain counter strain, which is super gentle. It's very passive. She's not like getting in and putting a thumb into a muscle knot and making you squirm, nothing like that. Whereas Roberto is a little bit more aggressive. So they have different techniques and, it might be trigger point or myofascial release. There's all sorts of fancy techniques you can learn these days. But the really important part is just that they're doing some of those techniques to do the work that you can't do for yourself.
Okay.
So again, I'm not super picky about the techniques as long as they work.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me do number 7. And then if there's more questions, we'll go ahead and answer those as well. So what's next? So if you got some good information, but you still want to know more about your personal situation, or you want help figuring out then what's causing your pain and if our therapist can help you, we offer a free 30-minute consultation with our therapist at the clinic. We call them discovery visits. So again, it's a one-on-one consultation with one of our PTs, and they focus on 2 things during the consultation. The first thing, like I just talked about, was what is the cause of your pain or the 2 or 3 things that are causing your pain. Is it mostly muscular? Is it postural related? Is it the joints? What's going on to cause it? And after we help you figure that out, then the therapist will give you their best impression on whether or not we can help you get rid of the pain. So that's what we do. We do these every week for clients. It's actually a really good entry point for a lot of our newer clients. Not so much our returning clients who just come back whenever they need stuff, but our newer clients, it's a really good entry point because you get to talk to the therapist, you get to tell them what's going on with you, you get to meet people in the office and just kind of get a feel for the clinic and the vibe. But then you also get to say, hey, I really don't know what's causing it. I mean, Luke told me what it could be, but I don't know how to figure that out for myself. So can you tell me what's going on? And then can you tell me if I go through the trouble of coming in here, whether I need to get a referral or I have a copay or all those things, is it going to be worth my time and effort? So that's why we do the free consultations. And if you're a little bit on the fence or you really just want more information before you decide to move forward or not, it's a really good route to go. I will say there's no strings attached. Therapists in general, we're not like high pressure salespeople, we're not used car salesmen. There's nothing required. You don't have to have your insurance card or a copay or anything. It's just a free consultation. So
when I come back in July, would this still be available if I'm still having problems?
absolutely. Yeah, they're always available. So,
I like that.
you know, I try to encourage people, if you have a problem now, do it now, but they're always available. You can call the clinic and they'll know what you're talking about, or you can email me in July and I'll help you arrange it. Because like I said, there's a lot of our clients nowadays that this is how they get to the clinic in the first place. Even if they've been referred by a doctor, a lot of our clients still would rather meet us first, ask a few questions first, and then decide if they really want to come in.
That's interesting.
Thank you.
That's good
Been
approach.
very helpful
Thank you.
and answered a lot of my questions. So
Yeah, you're welcome. If you do want to take advantage of the discovery visit, by the way, you can let me know, or you can just call the clinic at any time to help you arrange it.
okay.
There's also an option on our website if you wanted to just sign up for one, like via a form, if you're more of a web person, which I don't know if any of us are. But if you wanted to, you can just fill out a form with your information, and then someone from the office will call you. So there's multiple ways to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta run.
Gotta run. Thank you, Linda.
Thanks again.
Enjoy
Bye-bye.
your time in Steamboat.
Yep. Thank you. We'll have to try to digest this now.
Absolutely. If you have any questions, just reach out to me. You can call me at the clinic. Anything I can do to help, just let me know.
Okay.
Well, can I say something?
Sure.
The therapist that was working with me in the pool, she asked me how I was feeling this one day, and I said, well, for some reason I've got neck pain. And so she sat me down and got behind me, and she put her fingers all up around my ears and the whole 9 yards. And for a couple of weeks after that, then my ears were hurting, my whole head hurting from that same therapy, I guess, as I should call it. But I don't know if she knew what she was doing or if it's just me that thought that was a little rough. I don't know.
Yeah. Sounds like she was trying to help, Phyllis. She probably just should have gone a little lighter on you, which that happens sometimes. Sometimes we start at a certain intensity and it's too much, or
Yes.
so it's probably just too much. And by the way, just from your story so far, Phyllis, what I would imagine is causing your neck pain and headaches is because probably in the pool you're probably doing some arm exercises, like with paddles or dumbbells, and so that's probably just irritating your muscles.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So chances are, if they were to treat your muscles a little bit, it would definitely help. And then longer term, as you're building your strength up, it wouldn't be as much of an issue because the muscles wouldn't be so irritable.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just hoping this ends pretty soon because, I'm getting kind of tired of it that I can't put my head all the way that I used to.
Yeah,
And
you're
then
not
there's-
moving very far, are you?
Yeah, when I do move my head, this pain kind of shoots up the back of my head. So from
Yeah.
the neck, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we can help you with that, just let us know. I know we're probably a little bit of a drive for you guys, but if we can help, let us know. Or certainly if your therapists are willing to treat you on land as well, and they're willing to do the hand, that might be a good option too.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So just let me know.
All
Sure.
right.
Well, I thank you for today. I would like to go a little further and find out if there is any help for me.
Sure.
This was very informative, but so should I call or?
You know what, Terry, why don't can I call you back right after this and I'll help you do all that?
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll call you soon.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Lois, how are you doing?
Well, I have a question, but I don't think it pertains to anybody but me, but it's about the rebound headaches. So do I need to treat that somehow first before I would come in and see
You
you?
told him about it.
I don't think so. Do you want to go in and talk to Jamie about it though, a little more specifically and see what
Oh,
she,
I'd love to.
okay. Okay. Well, Lois, if that's okay, then let me just make sure I have your phone number. I'm pretty sure I do. Can I say your phone number out loud? Is that okay, Lois?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, you're not worried about Carl or Phyllis or
I'd love to